What's happening, everybody? This is a quick live. You see that I look like I'm sweating. It's because all of a sudden, what temperature does my car say? I think about 80 degrees. 81. It is 81 degrees today, and I'm hot. My AC is on, but it's not doing the job right now. I'm not a hot weather person, so yeah, it's hot. It's hot, and I was unprepared when I stepped outside. I actually had a hoodie on when I stepped outside. Took it off immediately because I'm not wearing a hoodie in 81 degrees blazing sun. And also, I'm a little bit sick too, so that doesn't help. But, anyhow, as you see, the title is about having a terminally ill parent. It's something I didn't expect. It's something I wasn't prepared for. I mean, who can really prepare for that? I guess it just happens. It's just my time to have this experience because I've known many friends that have had this experience, and I've talked to them and helped them as much as I can through those tough times for them. But I didn't really understand certain things. You can't really understand until it's you in that position, and this is one of them. So it's multifaceted, it's multi-layered. There's my own emotions. Hi, Danny. There's my own emotions that I have regarding just overall thoughts about my dad, seeing him in the condition that he's been in for the last 3 years, but especially the last 6 or 7 months. Then there's the people around me, my immediate family. They have their own personal reaction to what's going on as well. So there's like a family aspect. There's the people from the family that aren't around that call all the time for updates. And then there's the friends, friends that check in and say, hey, how's your dad doing? How's everything going with your dad? And I know that the majority of those people mean well, you know. It's a nice thing to do when somebody's going through something like that, to check in, see how they're doing, ask how they're doing. The tough part is when it's so many people doing that and so often, because despite the fact that this is not an unlimited time that you're going to have, despite the fact that yes, you do want to acknowledge that you're feeling sad, down, whatever emotion that you feel, we don't have a life that is set up for us to just stop what we're doing indefinitely and dedicate all of our time to that. I did the most that I was able to do when it comes to that, because I took that family leave for about 3 months. That was the maximum that I could do, unless I was willing to take an unpaid leave. And unfortunately, I don't have $1 million in the bank, or even enough to cover me for long enough to take an indefinite leave like that. So I had to go back to work. And people asking you how you're doing often, every day, several times a day. It's almost like if somebody gives you, you have this wound on your body, like, I don't know, you got some kind of injury or whatever, and it's something that is going to take very long to heal. When you think about it and when you talk about it, you realize how much it hurts, and it makes it hard to function. And that's the situation I find myself in here. It's not Not that I don't want to talk about it, and it's not that it's not on my mind. Sometimes it is good to get it out. Sometimes it is good to have people to vent to, people who can understand you, people who can maybe even give you advice. That's always good. But if I live in that space, if I live in that space, I'll be paralyzed. Because there was a time during this process that I was living in this space where I couldn't get out of that space. I was somewhere in my early 20s, possibly a little slightly earlier. I lost my grandfather to dementia and Alzheimer's, and I guess old age as well. And that was a hard thing to process for me, but I wasn't really around. I was living in Michigan at the time. He was in Canada. I would come back and visit every few months. But I wasn't the one taking care of him. I was not the one fielding all these calls. Like, how's he doing? What's up? How's his care? What's going on with bed sores, and what is going on with this and this and this and that. Like, I was not the one who was fielding all that stuff. Now I am. Now I am one of the two people that answers those questions daily. And then I encounter people who are upset when I need to take breaks from answering my phone. This is a matter of self-care for me, honestly. It's not just that I'm ignoring, avoiding. It's a matter of self-care. Because if I'm able to do my job, and if I'm not able to take care of myself, and if I have some kind of breakdown, who's going to take care of me? The people who are complaining? No, they're not. So I have to do what is best for me. And the thing is, I had a saying in my head and it just slipped out. But essentially, if every day I'm crying, eventually I'm going to drown in the river. I just made that one up, I guess. If every day I'm crying, eventually I'm going to drown in the river. Because there's an unlimited well of sadness that comes with something like this. Because life starts to become so real for you. People that you've had in your life for your entire existence. And now you're suddenly thinking, like, any day now, they could not be here. I had to go through that when my mom was in the hospital. I was going from hospital to work and back. It was so hard, and my family keep calling and texting me for updates, and it was overwhelming. Thanks for sharing that, because that's what I experience. That's what I experience now. And then they complain if I'm not constantly, responding to these texts and constantly taking these calls. And these calls are never like, what can I do for you? How can I assist you? What do you need? It's just like, how's your dad? When's the last time you saw your dad? How's your mom doing? How's your sister doing? How's this person doing? How's that person doing? It's never something that is offered to me that is going to fill me up in any kind of a way. It's just something that is more draining during a time where just being present for this is draining as it is. I have such an appreciation for the people who call me and they can accept whatever I have to give. For the people who are just like, I'm not going to badger you about this. I'm not going to try to force you to tell me about your emotions. Whatever you want to say, you can say. If you just want me to talk to you and provide you with a distraction, I can do that. I don't need anything from you, because I know that right now You're the one with a need. I have a great appreciation for those people. There's not many of them, but there's definitely some. There's definitely some. I had to take one day off, and I got yelled at for not sending it. Yeah, that's another thing. People who aren't around telling you that you're not doing enough. That's wild to me. It's like, you want to say, well, what are you doing? How often do you go? Never? So, how are you telling me that I'm not doing enough? And people take these things that I'm saying a certain way, but if you have faced this reality and the era that we live in, that's another thing. Because I've had people tell me like, okay, I know what you're saying because this happened to me in like 1995. I'm not saying that as a dig at all. I promise you, I'm not trying to make a dig at all. But I'm just saying, 1995 was not an era of text messages. It was just like, people can call the house phone. People can call the house phone to find out what's going on and see how you're doing and all that. And it's easier to set boundaries with the house phone because everyone knows there's times when you're out back in those days and you're not going to be home to even answer those phone calls. So they're just not going to get you and they're going to leave a voicemail, right? Mine was last summer. Yeah. So they're just going to leave a voicemail, and then people would have respect in terms of, oh, I'm not going to call after like 7 or 8. It's nighttime, it's late. So I'm going to save this for tomorrow morning or tomorrow during a reasonable time where I know they're home or whatever. Now, they can contact you on your cell phone, text message, WhatsApp message, Facebook message, Instagram, whatever social media platform that you have, they can contact you on it. And then it's like, oh, I see you posted on Facebook. So you could post on Facebook, but you can't pick up my call. Posting on Facebook is totally different. Posting on anywhere is totally different. It's like me comparing conversation with somebody for the same amount of time. I'm talking to the screen. I'm reading the messages. A week off of YouTube, I can take a week off of YouTube. If I want to do this live for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, doesn't matter. Whatever I decide to share here is whatever I decide to share. Whereas having a conversation with a friend or family member, and specifically regarding my dad, it requires more from me. And I think that I jumped off of this analogy, but it's like the wound analogy that I was saying. It's something that always hurts. There's never a time of day where it hurts me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And sometimes it hurts badly. Not the person that was up and active, and he used to travel all the time, and he would get up in the morning, use the first one up. He would make sure to coordinate all his suits. He would wear a suit every day, and he would be up and out the door, and he'd be up and down in the car, and he's going to Switzerland and Australia and France and all these different places. I'm looking at him in that bed, just either looking at me or not looking at me, and I'm like, this is heartbreaking. But again, I can't focus on that 24/7 because that would paralyze me. I wouldn't be able to function. So sometimes I see certain calls, certain texts, I know that's all they're going to be talking to me about exclusively, nothing else. Nothing else. They're going to call just for that. And I'm like, I can't manage right now. I'm working. I have to get my workout in. I have things that I'm doing with my life on the side. I'm working on this YouTube page. There's a lot of things that I'm trying to get together, and I would get stuck if I was constantly just repeating and reliving that. So my point is, I started to have a different understanding of my friends and even family members who were going through these times. And I would ask them how they're feeling, and they didn't know how to explain, or they would change the topic, or they wouldn't be as available as they used to. Like Danny said, it's hard to do a full 8-hour shift of work where you're focusing on your job and your job responsibilities and making sure to do what you're supposed to do. And then you jump right out of there. And it should be a time where you can refresh yourself. You're like, okay, work is over. I can enjoy some sunshine. Like, it's nice outside. See, like, it's very nice out today. Grateful, vocal about it to said people, and continue to live your life. It doesn't stop because our loved ones. And yeah, it's a tough realization, but a true one. That's why I like doing these lives. That's why I like doing these lives. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. hospital, then 8:30 to 11 p.m. work, then repeat for 3 weeks. That's a lot. I was doing something like that. I think last year, but I sadly realized that I couldn't sustain anymore. So at this time, I only go to see my dad on weekends, which makes me sad. But I was encountering an experience where it was so deeply affecting my work life that I was close to getting fired. So I was like, something's got to give. And I wish the job could be the thing that could give. But the job couldn't give because I need the money to pay my bills. So I've had to sacrifice the 4 to 5 days a week that I was going in there and cut it down to 1 to 2, which is a very sad thing to do. But just like Jay Daly was saying, it's unfortunate that life doesn't stop. Life doesn't give you the opportunities to stop and pause to deal with that. And I feel like it's only recently they've even started to get minimum standards. Like, I was happy to get that whole in New York they have something called paid family leave, and that has only been in existence for maybe 4 years, possibly 5, where you can take up to 12 weeks off in a calendar year, and get 67% of your salary. So I was thankful for that. But those 3 months, whew, I've already been back at work for 3 months. So those 3 months, we're 6 months deep at this point. Hi, Bev. Also, what helped me is talking. Both parents is talking with like-minded. That's so true. That is very true. Talking with like-minded people. The chat disappeared. Okay. Those who don't understand are possibly taking that from much of an option right now, just because of the fact that I just started a new job. So I can't exactly take that time off right now, or I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. I started this job like 3 weeks ago. Hi, Kamisha. Shout out to Kamisha Reviews. I've been doing Kamisha Reviews um, mentorship program. So if you're interested in that, check out her channel. I was blessed that she recovered. My brother helped some, but I'm the main caregiver, so I had to take care of my. Oh, that's a lot. I'm only the secondary. I did spend some time before my mom retired as if I was the primary caregiver because I was with him working and I was working remote. So I stayed with him. I took care of him. I made sure he got his food, his medication. It's a tough life, you know. The thing about when I get on these lives, talking about entertainment stuff, reality TV stuff, I don't know what's going on with most of you. But then when I jump on these type of lives and start talking about this type of stuff, they use these things as an escape, like I do, because for a temporary amount of time, you can throw yourself into this other world where you don't have to think about the stress of what's going on in your life. The fact that you're still staying with your schedule is a good thing. And I'm very strict with my schedule too because I have depression. So I know what it's like to not stick to my schedule, stop doing the things that I do for myself, and then falling into this deep rut where I'm not getting out of bed. And I never want to go back to that place again. So I will not make variation unless the people who are asking me to make the variation, it's a one-time thing. I'm glad you're talking about. A lot of times I just sit in my feelings and hold them in the background, but once in a while, I can't not talk about it indefinitely. It is good to talk about it. Oh, I missed this. Don't allow anyone to break it. It will keep you as sane as you can be during this time. So I'm sorry you're going through this. Thank you. Doesn't feel like it now, but it will. I had to learn the hard way, but lesson learned. Oh, what about the depression and not sticking to your schedule? By the way, I got a, what is this? Ice latte, a caramel ice latte. Sometimes little things like that are just a boost. I'll do little things like that to get a little boost. If I'm going through a rough time. 1 second. PTSD as well. Ah, I see. Yeah, so this was just a little bit of my thoughts of how it feels for me to be in this situation. In summary, it hurts. There's no other way around it. It hurts. Like, that's the answer. That's not really an answer that I usually give people because I don't want to open a wound and then be in a place where I'm not functioning. So I don't usually just say it like that. But in transparency, it hurts. Obviously, it's gonna hurt. And sometimes you need to talk about it because you can't hold it in. It's just gonna damage you inside. And that could make you non-functioning as well. But I only give a certain amount of space to indulge in those feelings because I have to keep going with my life. And another thing that I think about after he goes, I'm still gonna have to continue with my life. So if I get in the habit right now of pausing everything that I'm doing to sit and be in my feelings every day, what am I gonna do when he's not here and those feelings are magnified? I feel like I'm building the habits right now. I'm building the habits right now of being able to push through it, of being able to stick to my routine, stick to my self-care, stick to my exercise, all the things that I do to keep myself well. I'm building up that routine so that when the time finally comes, when there's not any of these visits and I'm not going to the nursing home every week and I'm not checking in to see how everything is going with him because he's not here, I'm hoping and expecting that I will still be able to do similar as to what I'm doing now. And that's not to say that there won't be times. I'm human. I know there will be times when I can't just push through it. I know there's times where I'm going to be at a halt. Like, the numbers will call me even if you need to just cry on the phone or whatever. I appreciate that. I know there will be times when you do get paralyzed or you do get really sad and you can't function, you can't stick with your routine. That happens, but I just want to be able to keep going more often than I stop, because I've seen the effects of stopping and succumbing to those feelings. The habits are a lifesaver. When my dad passed, it was hard just to get up, but I learned to push forward and use autopilot. Yeah, I can only imagine. I'm sorry about that, Danny. Yeah, autopilot. Autopilot could sound like a bad thing, but it's not. Because there are times when we do have to go through life on autopilot. Because if you're not going through, because it's like you're not going to be able to just suppress that emotion and not feel it when you get up. So the two options are to learn to be able to stick to your routine. I almost know what you're talking about, Danny, because I've been here and I haven't really missed a beat. My phone is going to die soon, so I'm going to wrap this up. I haven't really missed a beat. I go to work, I go to the gym, I take care of my responsibilities, but I don't really feel like I'm here sometimes. I just feel like I'm just here, but I'm not really here. I'm having conversations with people, I'm interacting with people, I'm talking to them, but I'm on another planet for real. I don't feel like I'm really there. And people will talk to me about, you remember this thing that happened 2 months ago when we had this conversation about such and such? And I'm like, no, I actually don't. And I have a good memory, but recently, my short-term memory is just like, I think they call that depersonalization. That's what's been happening for me. Like, I'm just kind of here in body, but not in mind and spirit. I'm just kind of here. But yeah, that autopilot is clutch, because I would rather be on autopilot than to be stuck and the car is not turning on. You can't go anywhere. You can't move. The battery's dead. I appreciate you so much for sharing. This is what I'm not able or willing to express to others. Yeah, Bev, it's tough. I don't have an easy time expressing this to others either. Doing it on YouTube is totally different. Compartmentalizing. Oh, decompartmentalizing, right? Yeah. Anyways, y'all, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next time.